All right. Can you see everything okay?
Looks great.
Okay. So let's start it off with an introduction. My name is David Yslas, and I have with me.
Ryan Thompson.
Okay. And our group project is, our final is actually done on Chapter 11, which is Leadership Managing the Paradox. And for you guys, we have a little slideshow of some concepts for Chapter 11. So to start it off, we have the leadership paradox, which is the belief that having a manager, a leader, is actually hurtful to the team. It can hurt the autonomy of a team. And I experienced this at Starbucks when I had my first manager. Her name was Kara Johnson, and she was seen as a micromanager. She was focused more on production and kind of created a hostile environment towards us. And as a result, we had a high turnover rate, and a lot of people seemed to lose their engagement and their focus and didn't really appreciate the job as much.
Next, we move into the transactional versus transformational leadership. This has been very key in my career in the Air Force. The Air Force goes out of its way to teach us the different styles of leadership, invest in a lot as we progress in our career. And it does concentrate a lot on transformational leadership due to the benefits that it offers, to really engage your team members and to have them buy in and to achieve more than just what they're capable of doing. On the flip side, though, as much as the Air Force teaches that, it's still centered in the transactional approach. A lot of what we do is offering a reward for job performance or a reprimand per se, or something negative if you don't meet standards. So overall, the Air Force is very good in that transactional, and it's trying to get its leadership to obtain a transformational style so we can reap the benefits of that more engaging leadership style.
All right. So next we have referent power. So this is the idea that followers will comply with the leader out of their respect or liking for the power holder. So as a Starbucks manager, this is one of the things I try to build is referent power with my partners. Some of the ways I do that is by focusing on building interpersonal relationships and actually investing and listening to my partners outside of the work life. I try to find ways to motivate them and empower them, not just at work, but in their life in general. And as a result, I have found out that my partners are more willing to go the extra mile and do whatever it takes to achieve our goals.
Then we're going to move on to delegation. I'm a big believer in delegation. I was very fortunate to begin my career under an effective leader, or what I thought was a very effective leader. And one of the tools that they used was delegation. But delegation, as I must stress, is not a fire and forget or a laissez-faire type approach. I've seen that before. People will delegate, walk away, and leave the person they've delegated to out to their own devices, and it ultimately ends in failure. The proper delegation, as I was fortunate enough to experience, I was given the tools that I was needed. I was provided a coach to help me along, but ultimately I ran the task that I needed to do while they maintained overall responsibility. And it guided and developed me and gave the Air Force a better young worker at the time, and still helped me buy into what we were trying to do. So the delegation is a very effective tool for leadership, in my opinion.
Awesome. All right, so next is the incremental theory. So this is the argument against the entity theory, and it's the belief that leaders can develop the skills and ability throughout time. So I truly believe in this theory and feel like my life has kind of supported this theory. When I was growing up, I was very introverted. I didn't really like the human interaction part with people, and I never really viewed myself as a leader. It wasn't until I got hired on at Starbucks and I worked under my second manager who was able to empower me and put me in a position where I developed my people skills, my leadership skills, and I really grew a passion for being a leader. And once again, I think this theory has a lot of truth to it, and leaders can be developed through life experiences.
We're going to return to power and specifically experiences with it. The military offers all kinds of examples of power. It is based off legitimate power. You have the power of a commander who is in a formal position and they hold the ultimate authority. They also have reward and power. They have the ability to get people to do what they need to do based on the awards that they can give people, time off that they can give people. And then finally, the commander offers a network power because they have the ability to reach out to other organizations to provide the resources that we all need to do our jobs. But that by itself isn't enough for the Air Force to get the job done or the mission done as it needs to do. That comes into play with what the individuals wield, which is the expert power. They have their personal expertise in their areas to do their jobs that for everything that the commander offers does not have. It does not have that skill set. So the followers that are exercising this expert power move the Air Force through its daily task, working with the commander who's wielding the legitimate power and other bases. And ultimately, the combination of that leader and follower and how the power is used from each position is how the organization accomplishes its mission.
Awesome. So the next is participative management. So this is something I use as a tool to get my partners at Starbucks to kind of buy in and be engaged in our store. So I am a firm believer of empowering my partners. An example would be just recently we launched our social media account for Starbucks and our own store. And I put two girls in charge who are actually digital marketing. They're pursuing degrees in digital marketing. And ever since I put them in charge of this, they've kind of taken it and ran with it. And they are posting weekly promotions. They're posting pictures. They're engaging with our customers. And it really builds that connection from our store with our customers that come in. And, I've really really like this participative management because I feel that it empowers my partners and it gets them to be engaged in our store. And I've really kind of incorporated this in my own leadership style and found it to be really successful.
And finally, I'm going to touch base a little bit on the management versus leadership differences. It's the thought that when I first came in, that you could survive with good management up and down the Air Force, with leadership in a couple of key positions. That was our identity per se as we were going forward at that time in the late 90s. And what we found is we met our mission, we had our resources, but we ultimately were losing our people. They were not retaining, they were not signing in to stay in service. And the Air Force took a larger look at it and realized that the leadership was failing at the lower levels, and it was not engaging with the followers. And this just strengthened in my mind the importance of good management, but also great leadership to develop the people, to get them to go be more than just themselves. So really must, for me, I realized the importance of this concept of the difference between a management and leadership. And leadership is ultimately the key for a high performance organization, which is what we really want to be.
All right.